We have come to the end of another show. As you know, we have one final segment that we do every week, which is kind of a way for you to kind of get to know us a little bit on a personal level. This year, I've gone to asking everyone a question for one last thought. And today, I think it's a pretty thought provoking one. So I hope everybody is ready with their answers. Handy, we'll start with you. What would you say has been in your life? And I know you've been alive for 50 some years, my friend, 54, I believe it is.
Yes, sir.
What would you say is the greatest day of your life in 54 years?
God, I've done a bunch of stuff in my life, and there have been a lot of great moments in my life. But I have to say, probably the moment that I realized, and this was going to shock y'all because I got kids and done things and done great things and all kinds of things. The moment that I realized that there are people in your life that you just don't need. And by that I mean like I have large social circles and things like that. And there's some folks that I hung on to and hung on to and hung on to and wondered why I couldn't make moves in my life. And sometimes it's just like it's like falling overboard. If you're gonna drown if you don't get rid of dead weight. And it's not that these folks are necessarily dead weight. It's just that these were folks that I mistook for being more important in my life than what they actually were. I didn't have to throw them away. And it's not that I don't like them. It's just the moment that I started realizing that I didn't need these folks in my life, and they weren't people in my life that I could not live without. New ball game. And I know that sounds kind of weird. That sounds weird coming from a dude with kids. The moment that each one of them was born, my life changed a little bit more for the better. But that right there was something that I definitely needed, something that I needed and I needed badly. And once that light bulb came on, it became very easy for me to go, okay, I'm gonna put you over here. You got those people it's like, oh my God, why don't they want to? They never want to hang out. They never respond to any of my messages or anything like that. Like I stopped worrying about that kind of stuff, and I feel so much better because I have.
Okay. No, no. Hey, again, this is for you, so I'm glad. Thank you for sharing that, though, because I mean, again, that's probably an important life lesson for a lot of people. Because I've had a hard time letting go of things I needed to let go of, so I could totally relate to some of that. So thank you for sharing that. Tina, how about you? What would you say up to this point has been the greatest day of your life? Are you muted, dear? We're having trouble hearing you.
There we go. Sorry.
That's okay.
Um, Mine is probably because it was through my parents. I got to see things through my parents' eyes a little bit. Would be the day that I graduated from law school. Seeing the pride and like all the hard work and everything that I had done, seeing the look on my parents' faces when we went through that graduation was probably one of the best days of my life. So
No,
that would
that's
be like or second in going in together is probably tied. The day that I took the bar because then I
okay.
was
Yeah.
gone. I didn't have to study anymore. I didn't have to do anything. 2 months of sheer just hell was over. So those two would probably go hand in hand. So
No, I mean it's awesome. And again, I that's a tremendous accomplishment. And yeah, I can totally like, and I appreciate your legal expertise. I told you I'm gonna have to come to you one day. I know it, and just ask you a ton of questions about stuff because yeah, the law is something I don't know a lot. I don't say I don't know a lot about, but I don't know everything, and that's always good to have somebody who knows what they're talking about. So thank you for that, Delilah. How about you? What would you say is the greatest day of your life up to this point?
It's gonna be just a summary of moments, but I'm gonna summarize holidays as a child in the 80s and 90s.
yeah.
It just hit different. I know every generation is like, oh, everybody says that, but there is just something about my holidays as a child. I don't know if it's because that generation, we were always hanging out together, that our holidays were always filled with family friends that we called aunts, uncles, and cousins. You know how that goes, right? And it was just different. And those moments were some of the best ones of my life because we just didn't know it at the time, right? That those moments were like the last time that you would get together like that. It doesn't mean you don't get together now, but it's not the same. Everybody knows that because we're all older and we have to go to different places and we kind of splinter. But in the 80s and 90s, our holidays were packed. And it was not about the gifts and it was not about the candy and Halloween. It really was us just hanging out, eating, listening to music, joking around, having like multiple things going on at the same time. And yes, I know it's a stereotype, but kids did pass out on coats and people kept going, man, till 2 in the morning. Okay. Yes.
There was also innocence to that time.
It was, and we just passed out wherever we were gonna pass out because our parents were not done. So we passed out wherever we could, took that nap, and somehow we woke up and we were home. I don't know. We fell asleep on a chair. All of a sudden, I wake up and I'm at home, and it's just those moments were some of the best moments of my life. And so I just wanted to summarize that part. Only because we are heading into that, right? It is the holiday season, like with Halloween, basically all of that is kind of, those are like some of the greatest moments of my life. So that's kind of what I wanted to share.
Yeah, no. I mean, again, it does remind me of Christmases at my grandmother's house at times. Yeah, like I get exactly what you mean about all the kids falling asleep on coats and all that. That's pretty funny. Maybe that's a Latino thing. I don't know, but yeah, they're still there at 3 in the morning. No, they're like, no, it's not. It's everybody, right?
It's an 80s and 90s thing. I'm telling you.
No, I know. We're all exactly. We're all in that age group where it's like, we had. Remember those Christmases?
All the cousins sleeping in one room. You got one bed. You got 2 cousins in one bed, and the rest of them pallets on the floor around the bed.
There you go.
About that.
Something like that. It's funny because mine, because I feel like I've done a lot of, there's plenty of moments I could probably go to in this sort of thing. But a personal one for me is just one that was something that I don't think I never would have thought in my life, especially at that point. It happened when I was 14 years old, that I would ever be able to do and that I will ever get the chance to do again. My parents divorced when I was 9 years old. And so my dad, started dating a little bit after that. And he was dating a woman who did PR, public relations, for Children's Memorial Hospital. If you guys remember Children's Memorial Hospital back in the day. She did PR for them. And she came to my dad and asked them, they needed a representative. They wanted kind of a teenage boy or somebody like a younger kid to be a representative for this thing called the Robbie Fund, which was a foundation that helped cancer patients and young children who had cancer. And she asked my dad, do you think Nikki would be interested in throwing out the first pitch at a Cub game? Oh. And I think my dad was like, yeah, I think if you ask him, I think he'd be excited for that. So I was asked, and of course I accepted. And it's just one of those moments that you go, man, I got to get out of school. I got an excused absence from my principal. I was able to take my 3 closest friends from school to the game, and they got excused absences. The Cubs gave me 20 tickets for the game because this was 1987 when they didn't draw anything. So they were just giving out tickets like it was nothing. So I had 20 tickets for the game. And again, just the thrill. I played Little League at that point. So this was right towards the end of my Little League career. So, just to have your name announced, to walk out onto the mound, I was nervous as heck, obviously, because I got to throw 60.6 feet to get this ball. Jody Davis was catching at that time, and he caught the ball. So to summarize, I one-hopped it to his left side, but he grabbed it because he was a catcher, and I couldn't throw 60.6 feet, obviously. But it was just a moment I'll never forget. Both my parents were there. We took photos together. I met Steve Stone. I met Harry Carey. So the whole day, it's been in my memory since then. I can remember the day very vividly, everything that happened, all the events of that day. So it's Cubs were playing the Astros, blah, 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 getting the autographs because, they gave me this they let me run through the dugout. So I got to meet a lot of the, Sandberg, Dawson, so it's just that to me, even though there are other things that are probably in life more, the achievements were more, But personally, this was probably just the greatest day of my life because as a 14-year-old boy, there's probably nothing I could have done more that would have excited me more than doing that. So that's mine. So again, thank you guys all for tuning in. We appreciate the comments as always. Thank you guys so much.